Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Everything starts with light. Photosynthesis, capturing the light from our nearest star, forms the basis of life. And solar energy is our only truly sustainable resource. Man's ability to capture that energy systematically through agriculture and the use of fossil fuels has changed the world in fundamental ways. We have populated the Earth in unprecedented numbers, at unimaginable levels of consumption and unimaginable levels of freedom. We are, indeed, the most successful species on Earth, even if still today 1 in 7 people still suffers from hunger and malnutrition. This comes, however, at a high price, the alteration and sometimes the destruction of marine and terrestrial ecosystems, with effects on biogeochemical cycles, including the climate system. However, the highest price we pay for our success is really the growing distance between agriculture and the public understanding of how food and other agriculture products come to the table. Nobody has asked for intensive poultry production schemes, but nearly everybody standing in the supermarket chooses the cheapest meat, and showing thereby that there is a rift between behavior and words. Consumers are not always right. In fact, many consumers express quite easily lazy desires, Swedish welfare on American taxes, or in our realm, cheap food, but coming from small farms where all the work is done by hand and where the cows happily jump in flowering meadows. When it comes to impact, I see 3 types of knowledge, and I will call them the green, orange, and red lights from Wageningen, although they're not necessarily separate, and they're obviously more complementary. Firstly, when it comes to impact, we need to apply what we know already. This will make the greatest difference in the short term. I will call this getting the green light. The second type of knowledge aims to enhance our current understanding. It's the orange light. Understanding of processes, maybe we can capture them under the concept of systems biology, but it must include the humanities as well, at all scale. For example, understanding more about the role of carbohydrates in human nutrition, genetic fine-tuning between hosts and predators, or seed conservation in anoxic situations, or dietary behavior, you name it. I call this the orange light because we still go slowly. There may not be as much immediate impact, but there are great promises. The third type of knowledge, my red light, is perhaps the most complex. I will call it the disruptive knowledge. There is a red light because either society isn't ready or science isn't ready yet. To me, there are 2 crucial areas that cut across the disciplines. It's genetics and photosynthesis, and the link between them. And in fact, when we talk about photosynthesis, it's actually really surprising to me. The potential to improve photosynthesis in terms of its efficiency may be low. But why? Why is there no international consortium? Dear students, my light turns to green, because education is our most direct way to impact. There is no doubt about that. But the best education, dear students, is not just limited to science or entrepreneurship. I would like you to become scientists, thinkers, or doers who are sensitive to the societies in which you work and to the emotions that your work may arise. You will be well trained to your respective disciplines, but you will be able to bridge that double gap Snow's double gap between science and the humanities, and also between science and society. Dear colleagues of DLO and the university, we are asked indeed to respond to grand societal questions as the European Framework Programme on Research, Horizon 2020, so eloquently calls it. More efficient resource use only can really change if we also adapt behavior. Consumption in itself often follows resource use, and efficiency leads often to more consumption. So the challenge, ladies and gentlemen, of the future is not just technological, but also one of values and one of behavior. Dear alumni, ambassadors and partners, I'm grateful to you all, our internal and external partners, our many private and public friends, I should say, without whom we wouldn't be where we are today. Many of you generously provided support in kind, in good ideas, and financially. In fact, the golden triangle doesn't exist anymore in the same way as it did 20 years ago. It's starting to crumble on the society side and on the government side. Fewer people in The Hague who understand that agriculture and food are not just one sector on the same level of the steel industry. We are different, and we want to be different. We are about people and living material and the future of our planet. Please join me. We need you. We need each other in trying to reshape that dialogue, that bridge that gap between science and society when it comes to food and agriculture. Let's try to build informed collective decision-making rather than just collecting masses of individual opinions from the internet. As a symbol of that multicolored light from Wageningen, and as my thanks to you all and our multicolored new age of enlightenment, we will give you one of these mood lights as you will go out of the room. Thank you for your commitment.
Well, my suggestion here is to let go of this idea that people are lazy, because this will not inspire a true dialogue. Because most people do care and they do try. They just may be unable to get things done. Because in everyday life, it's not only about eating and health. There are many other ambitions at stake. And it might be quite difficult to combine those. And there may be forces beyond immediate personal control that might drive you far away from your initially good intentions. So what I propose is to stop telling people what to do and start listening better to people and to their own stories of life, because I think we can learn a lot from that. We recently started to work with Human Nutrition, with Edith Veskens, to collect life stories of people who are healthy eaters, because we want to learn from them what it actually means to deal with all these challenges that Louise just mentioned around food, such as a food abundance. There's too much food, it's everywhere. Or contradicting advice or confusion. Because the stories of those people may inform us to design new strategies that allow those others that do not manage nowadays to do the same. Working this way, for me, is crucial because I think a true enlightenment will only arise when people enlighten science as much as the other way around.
The problem is often not that the people have a lack of knowledge, that there's an information deficit. The problem is that they have another point of view of the world. They have other values and other interests. And just simply changing your message, telling it more nicely, that won't change anything if you don't understand why people think the way they do. If you really want to learn people how to recognize the sensitive subjects and to be able to communicate about that properly, then it's important that they learn to accept that there are always people who think differently. And maybe that's okay. They need to open their minds and learn to understand those people that think differently and why they do so. Yes, learn the ability to create trust. So that maybe in the end you can convince those people. Or not. Be convinced. Because communication is not a one-way street where you simply post your message, however elegantly you put it. It's about interaction. So focus on improving communication, great. But always please remember that it's not just about sending your message.
Louise mentioned in her speech the importance of developing a dialogue between the world of science and the public, the importance of better science communication, and Jelske also touched on that and talked about that. But why do we want to do this? Well, of course, we want to share our insights and our inventions, but also because we have solutions to the world's problems. Solutions which will only work if they get the support of the public, if people are motivated to support them and see them through. And this is where we have a problem. As scientists and academics, I think we forgot something important in our approach to communication. We forgot that we're animals. Now, why does this matter? Often when we communicate with the public, we do something similar to what we do when we do research. We use reason and logic. Now, reason and logic are fantastic. They are what sets us apart from the rest of the animal kingdom. It is what our species is uniquely talented at. But just like any other animal, reason and logic are not what motivate us. Feelings and emotions do.
Paradise seems an impossible, stable, diverse and productive ecosystem. A place where free lunches do exist. Utopia. However, nothing is free or stable in the real world. And being human, it's difficult to accept this. Currently, for example, there's much to do about intensive pig production in the province of Brabant. Numerous problems are often mentioned: odor, manure surpluses, landscape deterioration, and even reduced animal welfare. Some claim that the number of pigs in Brabant should be reduced because of this. However, Brabant is not an island. Even if the number of pigs is reduced drastically, still resource flows will be imbalanced as the population will continue to consume pig meat. And moreover, perhaps Brabant becomes a little prettier, but other places will deteriorate because pig meat has to be produced somewhere. There is no free lunch. As scientists, we should work over different disciplines in order to optimize given the circumstances. In this way, we can minimize the effect of these distribution problems. We should make this effort together with representatives of enterprises, with NGOs, with politicians and government officials. Wageningen offers excellent opportunity to do so because of its skill, its hands-on mentality and its expertise. Let's go for it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very special opening of the academic year, I would think. Louise, thank you so much for an eloquent presentation. And of course also thank you, Sound of Science, one of the bands of Wageningen University, of our staff and students, and Bastiaan, Laura, Jelske and Pork for your excellent presentations. I think this was a clear demonstration of the dialogue that we want to have in Wageningen and the way we want to have a very open organization and open communication within our organization and externally. And then the question is, do we have talent? Obviously, we have a lot of talent in our organization at all levels. Now, in the past decade, you could say Wageningen has developed itself into an internationally recognized institution in the domain of healthy food and living environment, with a mission to explore the potential of nature, to improve the quality of life. We need to further improve on this because communication is very, very complex and we need a better dialogue with society. And Louise gave a lot of examples in her presentation. But also in the reflections was very clearly indicated that we need to indicate the larger goals, but as our reflectors very clearly indicated, we also have to make them things concrete. concrete examples. Not only talking about the 9 billion people, but also talk about the concrete implementation on our domain, healthy food and living environment, and many issues play a role. But also the communication, the two-way interaction, to connect, to motivate, and to implement. It has been said several times by you, and I think these are very important messages for our strategic plan. This year, more than 2,500 new students, more than, I think, 1,600 bachelor new students and 1,000 international master students. And they were all celebrating it already. They were here for the open annual introduction days. And they were together warming up for doing sports on that day, but also warming up for being an international Wageningen student. So, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, students, I can't wait to get started and to hear from you about your thoughts about our future. Think with us about our strategic plan. So it's an honor and a pleasure to open the academic year 2014-2015 for Wageningen University. Thank you.